Greetings, all Shardvixen, and today is September, I think the 29th. Let me make sure. Oh, nope, it's the 30th. So before we get started, I wanted to show you I finally did my rainbow hair, and it looks it'll look much better in a braid, but it does go from pink to orange to yellow to blue. I got purple in there, and it makes a rainbow across my hair. It's so awesome. Though what'll happen is when this grows out a little bit, then I'm going to go to 2 solid colors, and then it'll grow out a little bit more, and we'll make the 4 colors again. And then I might just for a while go to solid colors. So I'm gonna do the ferret here, Farrah Fawcett, you know, where she used to tilt her hair back so you could see me better, except my mask is falling. I have to make a new one. I know I keep saying that, but it's true. So the topic of today's vlog, and I'm sorry it's so late. I haven't been feeling well. If you listen to any of my videos yesterday, you'd know that. I feel a little better today. Shoulder is really bad. I didn't want to get up, so I sat in my chair, played a little bit of No Man's Sky, doing the normal story. It is not being streamed in any place. So my schedule for streaming, for those of you that only watch the vlogs and thought, oh, I might like to know more about that, is I stream on Twitch because I'm getting used to that whole setup of Twitch. On Saturday, I'll do that about 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time today, and I'm doing Warframe right now. I have the itchies again today, and my shoulder hurts, so it's hard to itch. And then Sundays, around 4 o'clock or so to about 9 o'clock, I do 2 streams. And I do No Man's Sky. This week will be creative and Just Cause. Eventually, Horizon Zero Dawn's going to go where Just Cause is. And I've picked up some other games, but some of those you won't see till later on down the road. And then on Tuesdays, I stream with my daughter in the morning. And on every other Wednesday, I stream Minecraft with my son. And Fridays usually are me and my son and my grandson, and we do Little Big Planet. We'll probably pull in another game as soon as I find one for the PS4 that all of us can play. I'm thinking Battlefront 1, the Star Wars one, because they both like that. We didn't stream this Friday because there was a cage match in the Get Nip Gang, and my friend King Snake and another great streamer, Mick Does Gaming, did a cage match, and it's a wonderful cage match. I'm not going to tell you who won. Go check it out on the Get Nip channel. I know I talk a lot about the Get Nip Gang, but they are awesome. It's just a bunch of gamers who've come together. We support each other. We go visit our streams. You create friendships. It's really good. Online friendships are good for the most part. Alright, so today's topic is animals and pets. Animals and pets. Wouldn't that be the same thing? Not necessarily. I have always had pets my whole life. Literally. My mom had a cat before I was born. I was given a cat when I was about a year old. I think it was around a year old. I remember being 2 and being in the bathtub and my cat being there, and his name was Mittens. He was, of course, black and white with little white paws. And thus was my adventure start. I had a rabbit at 2 around that age, but the rabbit ended up being food. Not for our family, but it kept getting out of its cage. So my dad took it to a friend's house, and then they took care of the problem of getting out of the cage, I guess. And I wasn't told until I was served the rabbit, which was a little strange, I guess, for a child. I think that when I was growing up in the 60s and late 60s, early 70s, my grandparents were farmers. They came right off the farm. They had lived through the Depression. Their parents had lived, you know, solidly through the Depression, and everything was eaten. Everything was packed away. Everything was, you never knew when you were going to need it because lean times could come. And that was just the nature of being a farmer. And you had animals that were working animals, and then you had pets, but you never really crossed them over because if you did, at any point in time, you might be eating your pet. So my grandmother used to tell me that all the time. She had pet chickens. But she had no problem killing the chickens and eating them. So, you know, and I was vegan. I went vegan probably about, I would say I was vegan for about 5 years. I had a boyfriend that was a vegetarian. And I was a vegetarian. But I was a vegetarian because I thought that all animals should live free. And they should, if you wanted to hunt them, that was fine. But we shouldn't eat pent up animals. And I kind of still believe that. There goes my phone. I apologize. I'm always having my phone go off because I think I take care of it. And then I don't because I'm a dummy. I keep telling you these. Nobody believes me, but I am. Okay, now it's quiet. I might edit that. I might not. So animals in our household always had kind of they weren't like little people. I mean, people now have like little people, and I have to be careful that I don't make mine into little people. My cat, though, when I had another cat, Mittens died. We moved, and he got killed. We found him in a gully. I found him in a gully. I was really young though, so maybe I didn't find him in the gully, and somebody else found him in the gully. Because you know, your brain, if somebody tells you a story enough as you're growing up, that story becomes real in your brain. So you don't necessarily have to be there for it, and it happens all the time. Just kind of a tangent here. If you're told a story over and over and over, the human brain has this ability to take a fictional story and make it real inside their head, that it actually happened and they were there. Because the memory becomes encoded, and especially if it's a memory that all the family shares, and then it becomes encoded in your head as being real. I had said this before. There's a gentleman that wrote that it is the human's ability to adapt to fictional stories and create them and make them real that separates them from animals. But I've loved animals pretty much. So I was going to give you a kind of a rundown about my pets to give you an idea that, you know, how that was. And I thought this is a little more happier than the last couple subjects. So, and it might be shorter of a vlog. I don't know. I got the Wigglies today. I'm sorry. Had some caffeine because I've had problems with sleeping. So I drink the caffeine, then I have problems, sleeping. I have problems sleeping. I get tired. I drink caffeine, then I have problems sleeping. And then after a couple days, I won't have problems sleeping anymore because I'll sleep on the caffeine, and then I'll right myself again. Another tangent. All right. So I had Mittens, and I had a rabbit. Can't remember the rabbit's name. It was black, though. I remember that. So I had Mittens, who was black and white, tuxedo with little white mittens, and then the rabbit that was white with little mittens as well. And then we moved, and my mom got this Persian who was named Puff. He was gray, and he became like my buddy cat, even though my memory of how me and Puff interacted and my mother's memory of how her and Puff interacted are totally different stories. But I used to dress him up in little doll clothes and put him in my carriage, and he'd just sit there. So, and then we got a dog, and that dog became the family dog, and I usually had to walk it and it was a dumb dog. It was a really not smart dog. My grandfather and grandmother always had cats, because on farms, cats were useful for killing mice. That could carry, and rats that could carry disease. So I remember quite a few of their cats, and then later on cats I had as we went along, and their cats and my cats, and then I had a turtle. My grandmother got me and my aunt a turtle. I got a turtle, and she got a tortoise. And my turtle, I think, died. I can't remember what happened to my turtle. I had it for a while though. But he never really got big. He always stayed kind of small. I now know why. Because later on in adulthood, with my daughter, I acquired a turtle that somebody put in my fish tank. And it started out about this big, I'd say, I could put my nose through that. Ooh. So about that big. And then it is now about, roadkill's probably about that big now. But that's been over 15 years. So we've had Roadkill quite a while. Roadkill doesn't live with us anymore. She stayed in California, where it's nice and warm, and in a pond. She has her own little homemade pond, so she stays there. And I had a snake. My first 2 snakes were corn snakes, and I would take the snakes out and warm them, I always got animals that people wanted to get rid of. I had an iguana for a little while when my daughter was small. The iguanas are very hard to take care of and not really children pets. I mean, they're kind of good for the long term of how long they'll survive. So if you have a child that's very attentive, you get them iguana and they're probably going to last them, you know, they could give them to their children. But they get really big and kind of mismanageable. I thought they were cool big, but I didn't really like them small. And snakes are interesting because I think human beings instinctively have a hard time with snakes. So snakes are kind of this control issue. You either love them and you're tempting that wildness, or you have them, but you're technically a little bit afraid of them. So I had a male and a female corn snake that somebody gave me, and the male was almost 6 feet long, and the female was probably a half a foot smaller. The male, of course, was bigger and rounder. And then I got a gopher snake, California gopher snake, from a principal of a school, and she was almost 6 feet long, but had been raised in a lab. So, since she was a California gopher snake, I let her go when she got older. I figured she'd die anyway. What's better than to die in the wild than die in thing? And if she didn't die, it didn't matter because she was native to the area of California I was from. So I wasn't. It's just that she was bred in a captivity, so that you don't take them out of the wild and make them pets. I've had lots of cats. I mean, we found some kittens once, and we named them all after the Pooh characters. Any of the Pooh characters? So we had Pooh, we had Tigger, we had Eeyore, we had Piglet. I think we had one more. Owl, maybe? Or Gopher. I can't remember. People are always, like, throwing animals away. I'd always have this habit of finding animals in a box someplace. The bunch of kittens was by a bunch of trees. I watched a lady walk over, put the box down, and walk away, and I was really curious as what was in the box. I kind of thought it was either going to be puppies or kittens, because that's how people get rid of puppies and kittens sometimes. And I went over, and there they were, all these kittens. And I got most of them fixed, and I got all of them fixed, and I got most of them homes. Couple stayed with me. Then I had another one that somebody gave me, promised me it was fixed before I moved to Redding, and it had kittens. Then I had another one, had kittens, that somebody promised me was fixed and wasn't fixed, and had kittens from that. Sometimes I have wild cats that would live under my house, and we would, me and my daughter would not tame them, but get them to know us, and then and most of the time could get them fixed. When I had the cash for that. For a while there, they had free programs where you could trap them and they would fix them, and then you'd re-release them. One of them I got to be friendly enough to get in the house, and she became kind of an indoor-outdoor cat. At this point in time, I have a dog. I have a dog. My daughter has a dog. We have a cat that's the grandson's cat and my son's cat. They share that cat. And 2 cats who came from the next door neighbors when they left. And now we have a tortoise named Lamington, who was given to me by a friend. So I like pets. The older I get, the more the work is a little more exhausting. We go out. I guess it's good that I have the dogs though, because we go out and I have to walk. That's what I'm supposed to do for my chronic pain, because the exercise is supposed to help. It doesn't really help, but it's supposed to. It makes me tired. I have the type of fibromyalgia that's triggered by exercise, so I get more tired, but I still have to exercise. So walking the dogs are good. The cats are allowed in and out. I don't know, and I want a hedgehog. That's my next goal, is a little tiny hedgehog. I've had hamsters. Guinea pigs are better. I like guinea pigs better than hamsters. My son loved mice. He had mice for a while. I had mice that I bred for the snakes, which was, breeding mice is really hard. You wouldn't think so, but in captivity it's really hard. We've had rats for over 26 years, off and on, because they're really good pets for little kids. It's a good way to teach children, small children, and children that are a little more sporadic, hyper, to learn how to hold an animal and pet them, and because rats are a little more forgiving than dogs and cats. They can be a little scary because they do have big teeth and claws, but for the most part, they're pretty easy. And my daughter had one when she was 2 because they wouldn't let us adopt a cat. And then I got a cat when she was 3, but so we still had the cat and the rat. Now they went along pretty well. I've had most interesting animal personalities you could believe. Great for watching behavior. In fact, I studied dog behavior for studying children behavior. That's because they're similar. It's like pigs and dogs, and pigs and people, and dogs and children. Though not necessarily pigs and children. I don't know why, but it's like pigs are more like dogs or adult people than they are like kid people. Though adult people can be like kid people too. Cats aren't like people at all. Cats are a whole different thing in their own. I grew up with doing aquariums, both freshwater and saltwater, and I don't like aquariums. It's a lot of work. You got to clean them a lot. You have to really. I do want an octopus. If I ever get more financially set, I want to get an octopus. But you have to have a really special setup for an octopus, and the water has to be constant all the time, and you have to really keep it clean. But they seem like an interesting ornamental creature, because that's kind of how tortoises are too. Though people will say, "Oh no, I'm close to my tortoise." I'm not sure that tortoises even acknowledge us half the time. We had snails. My daughter had an apple snail, which grew to be that big. I have the shell someplace. I could find it pulled out, but it was a big apple shell. You can have them in Oregon, but you can't have in Washington, but you can't have them in California. And we just happened to buy it before it became illegal. My children want a ferret. My son would like a sugar glider, which are kind of interesting. They're nocturnal, and they've got these little like flaps under their arms, and they technically can glide from place to place. But what they do like to do, they're more like a weasel-y, squirrely thing that likes to wrap up. Had a possum once for a little while. Had to find it a home because all things that are born wild have a hard time becoming domesticated. You really have. It's more of a partnership, and where I was at, it wasn't a good partnership. The possum and I got along well, but the rest of the people around us didn't get along well. So I think that having pets is good. I do think there's a perspective that you need to have with pets, but that's just my opinion. I don't think your dog should come before your children, though I've met a lot of people that are that way because they don't like their children as much as they like their pets, especially as they get older. But pets are a good way to show responsibility. The problem is that I don't think all pets should be in a house. Cats, sometimes. Dogs, sometimes. Ferrets, sometimes. I don't know about hedgehog. I've never had one. I do see that PewDiePie's girlfriend got one. I was watching that for a while. And the most interesting thing about hedgehogs, when you give them a bath, they float. So I think that's kind of cool. But I don't know. It'd be kind of a cute little pet. They cost a lot, though. They're like almost $200 to get a hedgehog. So my grandmother had a raven, and a raven would be kind of a cool pet. I have read about how you can not domesticate ravens, but how you can create a relationship between you and a murder of ravens, and they will come and you can have conversations in bird speak, I guess. I've seen Loki the fox on YouTube, who is a fox who's owned by somebody. I don't think I would do a fox. That looks like a lot of work. They're very pretty. But again, just because something's pretty, I don't know that you should keep it. Anyway, that's it. These are just my thoughts on animals. I was just sharing you some of my animals. I do want to let you know that there's a YouTube channel out there called Sofa Gamers. And I did an interview with him. He interviewed me. So a little bit more of things. There are a lot of the stuff I talked in my other vlogs, but it's kind of nice to go and see a person giving me an interview. That's kind of fun. It should be out next week, he said. I will make sure I put up the links everywhere for you guys. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I'm sorry this is late. I really am in a lot of pain. I've been just moving my arm now. It's burning all the way up into my neck. And I have to do this video and everything, and it's running at 20. I didn't make it at 15 like I like to do. Please comment. It's kind of a vlog. I didn't really want to make a big, you know, I have a list of all my vlog topics, and I kind of try to space them off and on with the ones that are more serious components and then ones that are more interesting. So my question to you, if you've made it to this far, is tell me about the pets you've had and the one that you like the best. And if you could have one that's unique and unusual and you could afford it, what would it be? Anyway, I'm out of here. Peace, and I'll catch you on the flip side. I did that backwards, didn't I? Because now it feels weird. So it would be. So peace again. Great weekend.